Welcome back to the Twin Times podcast, episode 36. Today we have another special guest tonight, Sara Shams. She is a disability advocate and model. We talk about her work within the disability space.
I thought, you know what, I'm going to share just my daily life, day-to-day, what I'm doing, how I do things as an amputee, because at this point I'd been on my prosthetic legs for about 15 years. And I'm quite good and I'm quite confident on them. And I thought, do you know what, maybe this will encourage someone else to come out of their shell and do a bit more with their prosthesis or their adaptive technology, etc. And really it just started with one photo that I posted on Instagram a few years ago with me wearing a skirt and not wearing stockings with it.
Yeah.
And that's where it began.
Her work in the modelling game.
Now, it really just sort of happened gradually when I started posting on Instagram and brands started collaborating, wanted to collaborate with me. And, brands who are more inclusive wanted to include different types of bodies. And really, I got into it because I wanted to have that representation. I wanted to have that diverse representation within the fashion industry.
And we also talk about her time as an ambassador for International Day of People with Disability.
Just an incredible experience to have that platform, to be that representation and that diversity within our community was really fantastic to have that opportunity.
Other than that, let's hop into the episode.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Good.
That's good. That's good. Are you, I just wanted to ask before we started, are you based in Brisbane?
Yes.
Yeah. How's that all gone for you with the site?
Yes, Alfred has been and gone, thankfully. We were very fortunate. We actually didn't lose power throughout, which was really, really good. Some people are still without power, which is so terrible for them. And we had just a minor leak into the home, which is all dry now. So yeah, it was okay. Obviously, a lot of winds and a lot of rain, but it's a beautiful sunny day today. So it's all done and dusted.
That's the main thing, because I didn't know how affected you were or not. So
All good, thankfully. If it was last week, if we had scheduled this last week, I probably would have had to reschedule it. So we're good on that front.
I thought we might have to reschedule this week, to be honest. I thought you might have been flooded out or no power. So
good. And how are you guys going in Adelaide?
Good. It's sunny. It's 33 degrees. Yeah.
I'm actually in Adelaide at the end of this month for a conference that I'm emceeing. Wow. So I'm looking forward to that, but I hope it's not going to be 33 degrees.
Yeah, probably not. I think it'll be a lot more cooler. Yeah, I think so. Because we're in a bit of a heat wave. We've been in 33, 37 degree heat for the past 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's been quite bad.
More of it.
So this is
dry heat.
Dry heat, yeah, very dry.
Oh, that's good, because Brisbane, we get the humidity and it's absolutely awful.
Yeah. It's not overly great. Anyway, nice chatting at the moment, but let's try and get started. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a bit about your disability?
Absolutely. So I'm Sara, and it's so lovely to be here chatting with you guys today. I am a pharmacist by profession. However, I started on this disability advocacy journey a few years ago. Now, my disability is I am a bilateral above knee amputee and full-time prosthetic legs user, and I was born with my disability, and it was caused by a genetic anomaly. And it's pretty special that I'm here today because it's a 1 in a million live birth chances for that genetic. Yes.
Wow.
So bit of a walking miracle. But yeah, so it was a genetic anomaly that caused my disability, and then I had my amputations done when I was about 6 years old. And I didn't wear my prosthesis as a child because as a kid, I could run around on my knees, and that's exactly what I did. I played soccer, netball, baseball. Who hates being on prosthetic legs? Who wants to be on prosthetic legs as a child when it really slows you down? And back in the 90s, blades, so the running legs, weren't as common as they are today, and definitely not as affordable as either. So I only started wearing my legs when I got to about year 7 in high school. because I started getting teased a lot in high school and bullied about my disability. But yes, that's my disability in a nutshell.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wow. That's an amazing journey. So have you always felt comfortable with sharing that story or sharing about your disability?
Absolutely
Or
not.
did it take some time?
About 30 years to be exact. So I'm in my mid 30s now. And
Okay.
really, I started sharing my disability. Um, I used to basically hide my legs as much as I could growing up. And that was, and my legs, my disability, and that was because of the all the misconceptions that surround disability and the beauty standards set by society.
Yeah.
And for me, my disability always felt like something that I was quite ashamed of, something that I didn't really want to share with the world, something that I didn't embrace. And for me, it was a, a weakness as opposed to being what I see it now as a strength.
Yeah.
And I really started this journey, only because it's definitely continuous and it has been amazing so far. But really, it was from being on social media, on Instagram, and seeing people like me thriving in life. And for me, that was a little bit of a wake up call. And even though I was sort of successful in professionally and in my personal life, everything was going well. But there was always a part of me that I thought sort of I could do more and I should be doing more. And when I saw people doing more with their lives, particularly around disability, around the disability space, I thought, you know what? I'm going to share just my daily life, day to day, what I'm doing, how I do things as an amputee. Because at this point, I'd been on my prosthetic legs for about 15 years. And I'm quite good and I'm quite confident on them. And I thought, do you know what? Maybe this will encourage someone else to come out of their shell and do a bit more with their prosthesis or their adaptive technology, etc. And really, it just started with one photo that I posted on Instagram a few years ago with me wearing a skirt and not wearing stockings with it.
Yeah.
And that's where it began.
Yeah, right. That's brilliant. And you're definitely a great advocate for disability. We'll get into that later. Yeah, absolutely. To receive the 2024 Minister of Multicultural Award for your work in the disability space. Was it a milestone in your career?
Absolutely. It was a milestone. It was unexpected and such an honor and a humbling experience to have received that recognition and the award for my work within this space. And one of my big, I guess, passions is looking at disability advocacy through the lens of an intersectional lens, because my disabled identity is just one part of me. I am a proud disabled woman of color, and being a woman, being a person of color brings other layers of challenges. And I think when we look at just the one thing and don't look at all the intersecting identities that we have, there often tends to be a lot of people that we leave behind within advocacy space as well. So to have my work recognized as the Minister's Multicultural Award winner for the year was just incredible. And another aspect of it is that I hope it encourages and empowers others to start whatever journey they want to start, but are too afraid to do it. Because a lot of the time we don't know what we can achieve without taking that first step. So for me, I really hope that platforming my story also empowers others to do the same.
Yeah. Who was that minister that gave you that award? Yeah. Was it Amanda Rishworth or no?
No, so because it's a Queensland award, so it was Cherise Mullins. Yes, so it's a Queensland multicultural minister.
No, yeah, cool. Awesome. Where do you see your work in the disability space going in 5 to 10 years? It's growing on your Instagram. Yeah, we see that. How far do you think you can take it?
I actually have very recently started at my own consultancy called Ethnobility.
Yeah, cool.
Something that is, merging my passion of being a proud disabled woman of color, an advocate, but also bringing together my professional and educational experience. So I'm a pharmacist by background, so I do a lot of work in health policy and strategy. And I have a public health qualification as well as, and I'm a director of a couple of different organizations as well, so on the board of directors. So for me, I want to tackle the barriers that we face as people with disabilities on a daily basis, and using a couple of different approaches, so including training, workshops, keynotes, talking to people like you, spreading our message together, because I think together we are so much stronger, and as well as community engagement and representation in media consultancy. So that's what I hope to achieve through ethnobility. So that's definitely the next step with my advocacy journey. But if we're talking 10 years down the line, I kind of hope that I don't have to be doing this. Because the day that I don't have to be doing it, it means we've achieved what we're trying to achieve here. It means we have authentically inclusive environments. We have, equitable opportunities for people to succeed with their life, regardless of how we do things, and that we have the supports that we need without being questioned about it.
Do you enjoy or did you enjoy working in that health sector?
But I think the health sector is a sector that we can do a lot of work to make it more inclusive as well. Be it physically inclusive, be it for the psychosocial aspects as well, because sometimes when you walk into a pharmacy, it can be very loud. It can have a lot of colorful banners everywhere. And I think taking little steps as healthcare professionals, we can make a big difference for people with both physical disabilities and non-physical disabilities as well.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You are a model as well, which is fascinating. We really love that. But how did it all start for you, your modeling career? Was it something you always wanted to do, or was it just right time, right place? Were you picked up by an agency?
First off, it definitely was not something that I always wanted to do, because it was not something that I could even fathom doing, having a body like mine, because never saw someone like me in magazines, on runways, on TV. And if you ever did see someone like me, it would either be a source of pity or some sort of inspiration. So for me to even consider doing that was out of the question. Now, it really just sort of happened gradually when I started posting on Instagram, and brands started collaborating, wanted to collaborate with me, and brands who are more inclusive wanted to include different types of bodies. And really, I got into it because I wanted to have that representation. I wanted to have that diverse representation within the fashion industry, because it is so important. We often don't realize how important fashion and media really are for what we do on our day-to-day lives and how it impacts it. So being a model, I've really enjoyed doing that. And I think it has a potential to bring about a lot of change within how people see disability and perceive disability, both unconscious bias and conscious bias.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also shows others with either who have your type of disability or anyone with a disability to show that they can do it as well. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
One of the leaders in that space.
No, and I think it's really important for me to, if I'm on a runway, if I'm involved in a show, I want to make sure that other people with disabilities are also represented. If they're not there at that show, how can we get them in the next show? So there should be someone in a wheelchair. There should be, someone who uses a cane or whatever it is. We need that representation, because 20% of the population is a big part of the population, and we need that representation.
Absolutely. What big fashion brands have you represented so far? Yeah.
So I've worked, done a lot of content creation for various brands, but in terms of modeling, I've worked with a brand called Poppy. I've worked with Meshki, another brand, and I've done a lot of content creation for a lot of other brands as well.
Yeah, cool. Did you work, because we're currently doing research on another podcast that we're doing in a couple of weeks to do with the worker who works for Shift 20. Her name's Priya.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Did you do a shoot for them or something? Because you're like on the front page of their website. I thought, oh my God, there's a link.
Yes. So so Shift 20 came about, I think it was the project that I worked with was back in 2023, when what they did was they had old TV commercials and they replaced one of the main characters with people with disabilities.
Yes.
was one of the main characters in the ANZ ad.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
and
right.
So yes, so that's why you probably see me in an ANZ uniform at the front. So that's so through that, I've worked with Priya as well, which has been absolutely incredible, and that's who I was on the panel with for the summit that I saw you guys at in Sydney.
Yes.
Through Bus Stop Films. But yes, that was an absolutely incredible experience. I loved being involved, and I love doing things with the Shift 20 initiative, because, you know, it's shifting that dial from the 1% that's represented on screen to the 20% that we need to be at.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a fantastic experience. And Priya is lovely, so I'm glad you guys are going to be chatting to her.
Yeah. Also, how did that driving change summit come up for you? Were you approached by someone, or how did it come up for you to come speak there?
Yeah, they had asked me because of my involvement within the media and representation and the work that I do in this space, and obviously working on the Shift 20, and I think I loved being there because, you know, we often see a lot of people with disability, but not people with disability who are also of color or other marginalized identities intersecting. So I think having that voice is just crucial to be there. So so they had approached me to be on that panel.
Yeah, absolutely. You spoke really well, hence why we got you on. Yeah. When you were first starting out in modelling, did you ever have judgment towards you in terms of your disability? I remember speaking to another model we had on towards the back end of, I want to say 2023. Yeah, it was. Yeah, was it? Yeah, and she had a lot of judgment towards her around her disability when she was starting out. So was that something similar to you?
Absolutely, and it still exists today, unfortunately. Now, I was fortunate. I had signed with an agency quite early on, which was really great, but was so, especially for runway modeling, you have to go to castings and get selected by the designers or the runway organizers, etc. And I remember one year I went to the casting. There were many people with disabilities, which was fantastic to see at this open casting. Absolutely loved it. Different types of disabilities. And I remember the runway organizers were posting on their social media about how inclusive they are and how great it is. But then when it came to the actual runway, barely any of us actually got selected. Tokenism that happens, and a lot of performative inclusion. I think that still exists today. It's definitely a little bit better, but in terms of also being I guess a mid-sized model, and I think size also comes into the modeling industry, because obviously if you're not a certain shape or size, then you don't fit a lot of the clothes that are shown on the runway, even though majority of the population are not that size. So I guess that's sort of the backlash that I had faced going into this industry. And unfortunately, it still exists today. It has gotten a lot better, because I don't know if you guys recently saw Melbourne Fashion Week. That was, I think, just a couple of weeks ago or last week. There were a couple of models with disabilities that were on the runway, which is I just love seeing that. And I think if it's not me, I would love it if it was someone else. So it's not that the fact that it's not me, but I think we are getting better. But it's still there's still those barriers too.
I think it is changing as well, because I saw a couple of people with disabilities at the some after party for the Oscars, that like they were on the red carpet before going into the after party. So you can start to see it growing and changing in certain areas. I don't know that.
I think also I'm not a massive Wicked fan, but I think the Wicked movie and the musical has really drawn attention to disability and brought it into the spotlight as well, because of the main characters. So that was really encouraging to see. And I think she was on the red carpet as well and looking stunning in her wheelchair and her gorgeous dress. So
yeah, I did see that. Who posted that? I think it was it Hannah Davini? I saw it from Australia.
Probably.
Did you? Okay, I saw it from a couple of other advocates in the disability space. But I thought, that's brilliant, because I didn't see that through I didn't see it through mainstream media. So, you know, it'd be better if it came through that.
I saw it through mainstream.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I think
the ABC did something.
Right. Okay. Did you see it come through mainstream media or was it just through social media?
I think I saw it on one of the groups that cover the Oscars. I can't remember which
Mm,
one now, but it had, you know
yeah.
how they show the outfits?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they did have a photo of her along with the other actors and actresses. So I think I did see it there, but mostly, well, you're right, it was mostly through like disability advocacy media space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I would have preferred that pop up on Channel 7, something like that.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. And I think
yeah.
that's what we're going towards. It's not
Mm.
there yet.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a gradual process, unfortunately.
absolutely, absolutely.
Do you feel there's positive change starting to happen in the disability representation within modelling? Do you see more people maybe with disabilities walking down the runways or just having
Or
a
rolling
go?
down the runway.
Yeah, or rolling. Yeah, whatever works.
No, as yeah, that's like we were just discussed. I think there's definitely more disabled models who are on the runway, and I think it's also the fact that because we're seeing more of us, we feel more confident to be on that
Mm,
runway, um, and that makes me so happy because even 5 years ago there was zero, barely any representation, or it was always the same people out there. And now we see a diversity even within the disability community, which we are a very diverse community. And to
yeah,
see that actually on sort of the mainstream runways is absolutely incredible. And initiatives like the Shift 20 initiative, and there's also, I think, there was like a shoot off from Shift 20 called the Shift 20 casting call, which was
yes, yes.
a virtual casting for people. Yeah, I think you would have seen that. And I think that also has drawn attention for people with disability within that community to come out of their shells and say, actually, I can do this too. It doesn't matter if I'm in a wheelchair or if I have a prosthetic leg or whatever it is. I deserve to be seen and heard and represented, and I'm going to try for this. So I think that's had a wonderful impact as well.
Yeah. With just before you ask your
Okay,
question, yeah.
yeah.
With your Instagram, have you had anyone like approach you who have disabilities that have shared positive messages with you to say thank you for sharing your story? And I'm assuming yes.
Absolutely. It's honestly, when I receive messages like that, and I receive them quite often, it
Mm,
really empowers me to keep going on this path and keep going with the modeling, with the speaking, with being seen in TV commercials and things like
mm,
that. And and it's not always people with disability. It's even non-disabled people saying, "Because of you, I attended an event that I never thought I could." Because I'm
mm.
seeing you do things out of your comfort zone, and it inspires me to try to do that. And I absolutely love receiving those messages. And yeah, it really keeps me going.
Yeah, yeah. Other than the Driving Change Summit, what other events have you spoken at?
Yeah.
So I have done a few things now. I
Mm,
guess I've been on SBS Insight, an episode a year or so ago, and that was really great, talking about
okay,
body positivity movement. And that was really
cool.
cool to be involved in. I've spoken at on various panels with different conferences. And yeah, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of the organizations, but I've worked with a lot. I've done a lot of sort of interview and articles for Sydney Morning Herald and all these sort of things talking about advocacy work. And I've spoken at amputee conferences, but I've also done a lot of training and workshops for organizations on how to improve their inclusion strategy, on how to be
Mm,
more culturally aware and these sort of things. And that's what really led me to starting Earth Mobility, because I think there's a gap in our advocacy space for something like that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Did you have a lot of positive feedback from those conferences?
absolutely. Otherwise, I wouldn't have kept doing it. No, I would take the I'd take the feedback and improve. But no, they've always been positive because I think when you are speaking from lived experience and lived expertise and you're sharing your story and your passion, I think that's when you can impact and encourage positive change within people. And that's
Yeah.
and that's what resonates. If you're if pardon me, if you're going to go and talk to someone who's and just regurgitate information, that's not going
Mm,
to make a difference within how they do things within their life. But when you use your personal stories And for me, I think using my, policy strategy background as well, it really does help bring about positive change. And with that comes the positive feedback too. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. What has been the biggest learning experiences that you've taken from the fashion and modeling world? What's been the biggest learning curves?
Yeah. When I saw this question, I was like, oh, what has been the biggest learning curve? I think one thing is growing a thick skin because,
Like,
you're not going to be the star. You
yeah,
probably won't even get selected to be on the runway. So that's
yeah,
one thing. And I think the biggest thing for me was it takes a village, the entire village, for change to happen. So it can't just be the agency saying you need to be more inclusive, you need to have diversity on your runway. We need to have authentic allies in the designers, in the runway coaches, in the models as well, because they need to be welcoming and they need to be going out there and saying, yes, you need to be more inclusive, because change doesn't happen when one person talks about it. And that's why being an advocate can be exhausting, because sometimes it's like you're talking to a brick wall. So
mm,
we need to see that change. And I want to see not just on the runway, they need to be in the crew as well. We need to be in that co-design phase of starting to plan that runway. Because I've been at runways where the change room was you had to walk downstairs to get to the runway.
oh,
And
right, yeah,
and that was, that I only saw that when I got there. It's not like they didn't know about my prosthesis and the fact that I can't use stairs. They just
yeah,
didn't think about it. But they
yeah,
were very good. They were very good. They adapted and changed it. But really, it shouldn't have been like that in the first place. Because if we had a wheelchair model in a wheelchair, they wouldn't have been able to use the stairs either.
mm,
So I think it's these sort of things, but it needs to start at that beginning, at
yeah.
that design,
It's
the
about
starting to
changing,
plan.
yeah, yeah. It's about changing those mindsets. You got to give access to all people. That's right. Absolutely.
Exactly, exactly. And it's that systemic change that we need, and we need that within everyone that's involved in a runway or whatever production it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're to your work as an ambassador for International Day of People. What an honor, by the way. Well yeah, done. Congratulations.
Thank you. And you too.
We were ambassadors for in 2023. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Very
yeah.
Cool. So you would know.
Yeah. There's quite a few events you would have attended. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. What was the feelings when you first learned that you would be an ambassador for International Day of People with a Disability? Yeah.
And once again, it was something that I, saw people becoming ambassadors, and I never really thought that it could be me. And so that was exciting, a little bit nerve-wracking because of after I learned that I was going to be an ambassador and sort of what it involved. Obviously, as you guys know, all the prep and the recording, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm excited, but also nervous, a little bit nervous at the same time. But it was just an incredible experience to have that platform, to have that, to be that representation and that diversity within our community was really, really fantastic to have that opportunity.
Absolutely. Did your platform grow, or did your message grow as you became an ambassador?
I feel it did, because I think have these platforms, and it also, I've met people through being an ambassador as well. I was really excited because I got to MC the Parliament House morning tea that we had for International Day of People with Disability. So that was a really, really great experience. I really enjoyed doing that, and obviously meeting all the politicians there on the day was really a fun thing as well. Fun part of the morning tea.
Did you meet Arbo?
No, we didn't. It was actually funny because it was last sitting day of Parliament, and the bells were going off. Which I don't know if you know what that means, but basically it means
yeah.
Oh, did it happen for you as well?
Yeah, the bells were so. This was our experience, right? We're about to walk in to go to the lift where you go up to have the morning tea event, and the bells are going off. They're about to go walk into the chamber, And this
Yeah.
is no joke of what happened. I see the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese walking his cabinet right through to the chamber, and it's like time slowed down. It's like, fuck, what's happening? It was a
That's
brilliant
very cool.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we
Oh,
went
that's
up, did
very
the
cool.
morning tea event, and then we met Bill Shorten and I think Amanda Rishworth as well. So yeah, that great to meet.
Yeah. So, well, unfortunately, I didn't meet Elbow, but did meet Amanda Rishworth, Bill Shorten, Penny Wong, and it
Oh,
was just
cool.
really, yeah, because they all spoke at the event, but it was really funny because I had to be like, okay, so now we don't have Minister Wong here because she's in the chamber, but we have this person. But so there was a lot of chopping and changing on the morning, because of the last day of sitting. But yeah, that was a fantastic experience. I loved working with the team to, prep for the MCing. But it was really great because I loved doing that also because it's our day. It's International Day of People with
Mm,
Disability, and I loved being on the stage introducing the various videos of the other powerhouse ambassadors from 2024, and yeah, and I just loved being on the stage and introducing our stories.
yeah. Was there any other ambassadors that had inspiring stories that you maybe would like to share?
Oh, all of them. All of
Mm,
them. Like, I would highly recommend everybody go onto the page and have a look.
mm.
I had the pleasure of meeting Hayden in Sydney through Focus on Ability, which was on another event that I attended as an ambassador, I loved doing that as well, the Focus on Ability Film Festival. And he is a trans disabled trans advocate, First Nations background as well, and so great. And Khadija was another ambassador that I met. And I
Mhm.
also met Uncle Bob, who is Sunny Coast based, I think. But
Okay.
unfortunately, he was unable to attend the morning tea. But he does a lot of work within the First Nations space as well, as
Right.
being a disability advocate. So honestly, there were so many people that have a look. And actually, did we have the twins last year as well? And they are like TikTok Insta famous. I think they've got over 200,000 followers
No,
on
no.
TikTok and Instagram.
I don't know. I'll have
Like,
to have a look. Yeah.
have a look. They were so funny as well. Have a look at them. I think they do. And I think actually after the morning tea, I think they went and like baked a cake with Amanda Rishworth or something.
That's
I was like, what the
brilliant.
heck? That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so fun. So yeah,
Anything for the
definitely check
content.
those two out. Yeah, anything for the top, exactly.
Anything for the content. Oh, brilliant. I
So
love
anyway,
that. Yes.
that was a bit of fun. But yeah, honestly though, all the ambassadors, and I think there's a reason we are chosen,
Mm.
and it doesn't have to be something brilliant that we're doing, but I think it's just showcasing what we are doing within the community. And for me, normalizing disability is really important as well.
Yeah.
We are part of everyday society. We don't have to be these massive, inspiring characters. We exist, we work, we shop, we eat, and we should be represented as such as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah. You sort of have already sort of explained what did you experience as an ambassador. But how was it like prepping for the event, like in terms of the morning tea? Were you nervous when you spoke on stage, or were you comfortable with what you were doing?
To be honest, I think I always start off a little bit nervous in
Yeah.
like the first 30 seconds. And then I get
Everybody
into it and
is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I get
Mm.
into it and I'm like, no, we got this. We've got this. No, but it was really, really great just to, because I had done MCing before. So MCing is something that I do for events, but to be doing it at Parliament House or International Day with People with Disability event was I think a whole different experience, a whole different level. But I worked with Sally in the department. I don't know if you had worked with Sally when you were ambassadors as well.
No. Who did she work for?
Yeah.
She was from the department
She was from the
of,
department. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
lovely. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, even for
Yeah.
me, but she was lovely and really good with the notes that we had to create
Mm.
beforehand and sort of throughout the chopping and changing on the actual morning tea. Yeah, no, it was a great experience. Incredible.
Beautiful. What was the message that you ultimately wanted to send out to the public when being an ambassador?
It was the fact that I think for the ambassadorship, I think one of the big things that I wanted people to take away was 20% of the population means we exist every day, people with disability, different types of disability. And the fact that the disabled identity is only one part of our personality, one part of our identity. We need to look at everything else, that all the other groups that we sit in, to make sure that those intersecting barriers are also being looked at. And I want to normalize disability. I want to normalize disability. I want us to have all the opportunities that the non-disabled get. And I want to make sure that we are getting the equitable opportunities as well. Because I think it's not about equal opportunity. Like giving me a bike is not going to help me get from A to B. I need a bike that I can use with my hands and not my legs to get from A to B. So I think, taking the equity and intersectional lens is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel you inspired a nation when sharing your story?
I hope so. And, receiving messages like, especially, I guess because I've grown up with my disability, I was born with my disability, I often get messages from parents with children with disabilities who are similar disability to mine. And, they say things like, seeing you live your life gives me hope that my son or my daughter have as well. And for me, that's just an incredible message to get and receive.
You're making a bigger impact than you realise, Sara. That is for sure.
Thank you. No, it's good.
That is for sure. Sort of brings us to our final question. You've been a great guest, Sara. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I have, definitely.
Good. What advice would you give to that younger Sara who was just diagnosed with a disability or sort of struggling, being teased at school? What would you say to that person?
Say that it is okay to be different, and that there is immense strength within our disability. And yes, it's going to be a source of challenge at times throughout life. But when we overcome that challenge, we have the potential to create positive impacts within society.
Do you have kids?
No.
You don't? Okay.
I've got a dog.
For some reason, I thought you did.
No, I've got a dog. A little
You got a dog?
It's very sweet.
Yes, very good. Well, your dog is inspired by your story, and so are we. So thank you so much for coming on, Sara. It's been a privilege.
You.
And we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, guys. You too. And thank you for all that you do as well within this space.
No worries. We do our best. We all contribute in a way, I feel. So we're doing our best.
Absolutely.
The more we get people on to speak about their story, it's gonna push the movement forward. Yeah. So that's what we hope.
Agreed. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Bye-bye. Bye. What a great conversation with Sara. She's absolutely brilliant, and we are loving her work that she's doing within the disability space and continuing to advocate for people. If you want to learn more about Sara, a link to all her socials and her website will be in the description below. And if you want to learn more about Twin Times, a link to Charlie and I's socials will be in the description below. Other than that, this has been the Twin Times podcast. We wish you nothing but peace and love throughout the rest of the week. If you are on Spotify, if you could give us a rating out of 5 stars and a follow. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one.